I once believed betrayal arrived with a scream, but I was wrong. The deepest betrayal arrives in silence. Quiet, calculated, and delivered by the person you trusted most. Maybe my story begins long before everything exploded. Before my name was erased from my own work. Before the world believed that someone else created the breakthrough that cost me years of blood and sacrifice. My name is Ethan Hale, senior researcher at the Quantum Systems Institute, a place worshipped like a cathedral of intellect, where genius was currency and reputation could either crown you or bury you. Inside those walls, I built a future I thought was unbreakable. The woman I believed would stand beside me forever was Dr. Clara Rivers, my colleague, my partner, and the person I trusted with my heart and my work. Together, we pursued a dream, a revolutionary quantum encryption algorithm powerful enough to reshape global security forever. At least, that's what I believed. MC number 1, tension building. Everything changed the day he walked into our lab. His name was Marcus Velen, a graduate student with a smile too sharp to trust and ambition leaking from every word he spoke. Clara introduced him like he was some prodigy destined to rewrite history. But the moment he looked at me, something inside me tightened. There was hunger in his eyes, the kind that devours everything in its path and leaves nothing but bones behind. He shook my hand with theatrical enthusiasm. "Dr. Hale, I've heard all about you. I'm honored to learn from the best." His tone was polished, too polished, like he had practiced that line in a mirror. I didn't know it then, but he hadn't come to learn. He came to steal. Weeks passed, then months. I worked tirelessly, refining models, collecting data, running simulations until sunrise blurred into sunset. This project was everything to me. Clara and I had planned our publication timeline with precision. Our research was nearly ready for its final revision. We were days away from sub. "Marcus is struggling with his thesis. I need to help him," she said the first time. "He has a global presentation coming up. I must coach him," she said the second time. "He's under enormous stress. I can't leave him right now," she said the fifth time. And by the 10th time, her excuses came so casually that they sounded rehearsed. Deadlines slipped through our fingers like dust. 1 month turned into 2. 2 morphed into 6. And still, no progress. No meetings, no revisions. While our project stood still, rumors began to spread like wildfire. Hallway conversations stopped abruptly when I walked by. Colleagues exchanged glances, hesitant, pitying, amused. I became the lab's silent joke. Whispers crawled under doors. "He's dead, wait, holding her back." The real talent is Clara and her student. Marcus is the one making real discoveries now. Clara, who once swore we were partners, said nothing to defend me. You know the most painful kind of betrayal? It's not the knife in your back. It's watching the person who claims to love you watch you bleed and do nothing. One morning, after yet another cancellation, Clara walked toward me. Her expression empty, her voice mechanical. "We'll need another delay," she said. "Marcus' model is failing. He needs me tonight." She didn't meet my eyes. She didn't even pretend to care. Behind her, Marcus leaned against the doorway, arms crossed, a victorious smirk carved into his face. "I know your work matters, but what I'm building could transform the entire field. Your work, your discovery, your breakthrough." The words hit like blunt force trauma. Something inside me finally went silent. No anger, no argument, just the cold, steady realization that I wasn't fighting delays anymore. I was fighting betrayal. MC number 3, dramatic shift. That evening, I opened an email I had ignored for weeks. An offer from Professor Rowan Thorne, director of the National Supercomputing Division, one of the highest scientific authorities in the country. I opened the screen. A long announcement from Marcus dominated the feed. Breakthrough achieved. After an all-night session, I successfully solved the quantum stability failure. Massive thanks to Professor Clara for guiding me through it. Attached was a photo. Clara leaning close over equipment, smiling proudly, as if they had just conquered a mountain together. What do you call a breakthrough? It was a trivial problem, one I had solved 3 months earlier and documented extensively. As I stared at that picture, something inside me crystallized. I opened the shared project folder. 3 years of work. My life's labor. And with one click, gone. Not as revenge, but because it was mine, and they no longer deserved it. Silence filled the room, and for the first time in a year, I felt peace. At sunrise, Clara walked into the lab. Her eyes were ringed with exhaustion, the scent of Marcus' antiseptic cologne clinging to her sleeves. I lost track of time mentoring him, she said quietly. I hope you understand. Her gaze drifted toward my desk, and then she froze. My black private research notebook, the one containing optimization sequences, parameters, hidden solutions, was gone. I looked directly into her eyes. Where is it, Clara? Oh, she said too casually. I lent it to Marcus. He needed to study your methodology. It's a small thing. You don't mind, right? A small thing. 3 years of my life, reduced to a small thing. I opened my mouth to speak, to demand truth, to finally ask why. But her phone rang violently. Marcus' panicked voice burst through speaker. Professor, emergency. I lost all the data. The drive crashed. Everything is gone. I need you now. Clara grabbed her jacket and ran, without a backward glance, leaving me standing alone, in the ruins of everything I once loved. The lab door slammed shut. The sound echoed like a coffin lid ceiling. And just like that, my silence began. Yini Part 1. Rumbling fade out, slow breathing. So I can continue the story in. At around 2 p.m., my phone rang again. This time, it was my closest friend, Ollie. The one person who knew everything before I even spoke. Bro, open the door. I'm outside. I hesitated. I didn't want anyone to see me like this. Broken. Destroyed. Ashamed. But he wasn't going anywhere, and eventually I opened the door. The second he saw me, he froze. I must have looked like a ghost. He didn't try to talk immediately. He just hugged me. A real hug. The kind that says everything words can't. And I finally collapsed. I broke in his arms, sobbing like a child. I didn't care about pride anymore. Pain has a way of stripping all that away. When I could finally breathe again, he spoke quietly. But that's what everyone says when they don't know what else to say. I wiped my face, tried to pull myself together. What do I do now? He looked at me with a kind of seriousness I had never seen before. I wanted to argue, but he held up his hand. Choose myself. The words sounded like another world. That night, I couldn't take it anymore. I walked outside and sat alone under the sky, the cold wind cutting through me like blades. I looked up and whispered. There was no answer, just silence, the kind of silence that suffocates. I clenched my fists until my nails drew blood. Every memory burned like fire. I replayed the moment she looked me in the eyes and lied. The moment her silence confirmed what words never needed to say. The moment everything I believed in died. I screamed, not out of anger, out of grief, out of loss, out of disbelief. I screamed until my voice cracked, until there was nothing left inside me but emptiness. When I finally fell silent, I felt something unexpected, clarity. Pain stripped away everything unnecessary. It left the truth exposed. I had spent so long trying to be enough for someone that I forgot to be enough for myself. Maybe losing her wasn't the end. Maybe it was the beginning of the version of me I was always meant to become. I stood up slowly, whispering. I remember waking up the next morning with a heaviness in my chest that felt like concrete. My eyes were swollen, my head was pounding, and for a moment, I forgot why. But then the memories crashed back, violent and merciless. The betrayal, the screaming, the moment my entire reality split open. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, frozen, wondering if anything in my life had ever been real. When someone you love destroys you, it's not just your heart that breaks. It's your identity. I felt like a stranger in my own skin. I reached for my phone out of habit. The screen lit up like a slap in the face with dozens of missed calls, texts, and voice notes. Not from her, but from people who somehow already knew. That was the cruelest part. The world knew before I was even done bleeding. My hands trembled as I opened the first message. Bro, is it true? I can't believe she did that to you. Stay strong, man. Stay strong. Those 2 words sounded so ridiculously easy when typed by someone who wasn't falling apart. I forced myself to sit up. My room looked like a battlefield, clothes thrown everywhere, broken glass still scattered across the floor from where I punched my mirror the night before. I looked at my own reflection, fractured into 100 pieces. Maybe that broken reflection was more accurate than any whole one would have been. For a long moment, I just stared and whispered to myself, because every dream I had, was tied to her. I dragged myself to the kitchen, my body moving on autopilot like I was watching someone else's life happen. My mother was standing there, her eyes red and swollen, pretending she hadn't been crying. She looked at me the way someone looks at a wounded animal, afraid to get too close in case it breaks more. She tried to smile, but her voice trembled. I sat silently, my hands wrapped around the hot glass like it was the only thing grounding me to reality. She looked like she wanted to say 1,000 things, but instead, but the hunger for something more than sadness. The desire to build a life that no one could take from me. And that was the night I made a silent promise to myself. Because sometimes God removes people from your life, but to protect you from what you can't see yet. And now, my real story begins. And the next morning felt different. Not lighter, not easier, just different. Pain was still there, sharp and heavy, but I wasn't drowning anymore. For the first time since everything collapsed, I felt a sense of direction, like a voice inside me whispering that I wasn't done yet. That this wasn't the end of my story. My body felt weak, my heart felt bruised, but there was strength beginning to form beneath the wreckage. A small spark, a quiet promise, a seed of rebirth. I walked into the bathroom and looked at myself in the mirror. The same broken reflection stared back, but this time I didn't look away. I stood there, breathing slowly, confronting the person I had become. No more hiding, no more running, no more begging someone to stay. I placed both hands on the sink and whispered to my reflection. The voice sounded firm, determined, different. I spent the next few days in total silence. No calls, no social media, no explanations. I wasn't disappearing, I was resetting. I deleted old messages, removed photos, blocked every reminder that led back to her. It felt like cutting out pieces of myself, but I knew healing required letting go of dead weight. And for the first time in weeks, I slept without nightmares. Not because I was at peace, but because exhaustion finally pulled me into unconsciousness. The following day, I made a decision. Pain had taken everything from me. Now I was going to take everything back. It had been months since I stepped inside a gym. I had forgotten what discipline felt like, what effort felt like, what pushing myself felt like. The doors slid open, and the smell of iron and sweat hit me like a wave. The sound of weights clashing, machines grinding, people pushing their limits. It felt like entering an arena. A battlefield where the fight wasn't against others, but against yourself. I grabbed the nearest barbell. My hands were shaking, my muscles weak, but I forced myself through every rep. My arms burned. My chest tightened. My breath became film. Sometimes I cried until my head hurt. Sometimes I stared at the ceiling for hours, lost in thoughts. But every morning, I got up anyway. Sometimes I woke up shaking, covered in sweat, my mind replaying everything like a cruel that was the victory. Pain became my teacher. Loneliness became my training ground. Silence became my sanctuary. People think strength is loud, but real strength is surviving quietly. Weeks passed. My body was getting stronger. My mind clearer. I was eating healthy, sleeping better, working harder. I felt alive again. Then one evening, fate decided to test me. I walked into a coffee shop for a late-night drink, and there she was, sitting at a table near the window, laughing with the same guy she had chosen over me. The same man who shattered my life without even knowing me. My heart dropped into my stomach. My pulse sped up. My hands went cold. For a moment, I couldn't breathe. They hadn't seen me yet. I could have walked away. I could have escaped the moment entirely. But something inside me whispered. So I walked forward, calm, steady, grounded. And right as I passed their table, she looked up. Her smile disappeared instantly. Her face froze. Her eyes widened like she was seeing a ghost. And in that moment, I saw something in her eyes I never expected. The other guy turned to look at me too, trying to read the situation. He didn't know who I was, but she did. She knew exactly who I was and exactly what she had destroyed. She opened her mouth slightly like she wanted to speak, but I simply nodded politely, a calm, confident nod, and kept walking. Not a single word, not a single tear, not a single reaction. My silence said everything. I ordered my drink and sat down, and when I looked back, she was staring at me, shocked, confused, uncomfortable. And for the first time since she left, I felt something powerful. She wasn't my world anymore. She was just a chapter, a completed one. When I walked out of that cafe, the cold air hit my face, and I felt lighter than ever before. I realized something life-changing. Seeing her didn't break me. It freed me. That night, I looked at myself in the mirror again, and this time, I didn't see a broken reflection. I saw a fighter, a survivor, a man who was rebuilding himself brick by brick. I whispered confidently, and for the first time, I believed it. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months. My body changed, stronger, sharper, defined. People who hadn't seen me in a while couldn't recognize me. I wasn't just healing, I was evolving. I started a new project, invested in myself, worked harder than ever. I stayed silent. I let results speak for me. And slowly, everything started falling into place. My work improved. Opportunities appeared. People respected me. I could feel myself rising, step by step, inch by inch. Success is strange. It doesn't come loudly. It grows in silence, and then one day it explodes. Months passed, and I barely recognized the person in the mirror anymore. My shoulders were broader, my posture stronger, my eyes sharper. The sadness that once drowned me had turned into a fire that fueled every step I took. People started noticing the change, friends, coworkers, even strangers. They didn't know what happened. They just saw a man rising like a storm. One evening, my friend Ali turned to me during a workout and said, I smiled, not because I felt finished, but because I knew I was finally on the right path. Everything I had once prayed for while crying on a cold floor was now slowly becoming reality. One day, I received a call that changed everything. A business proposal I had been working on for weeks, something I poured my heart, time, and sleepless nights into, was accepted by a major company. They offered a partnership, a real chance to build something meaningful. I remember hanging up the phone and just standing there frozen. This wasn't luck. This wasn't chance. This was the result of pain turned into power. I closed my eyes and whispered. Then I laughed. A real laugh. The first one in a very long time. That night, I went to the rooftop alone, staring at the skyline, my heart pounding with excitement. I felt proud, not because of what I gained, but because of who I became. For the first time ever, I wasn't afraid of the future. A few days later, something unexpected happened. My phone buzzed with a message notification. I opened it without thinking, expecting it to be work-related, but when I saw the name on the screen, my hands froze. The woman who tore my world apart. The woman I cried for. The woman who walked away. Her message was short, but heavy. For a moment, my heart trembled. Not because I wanted her back, but because of everything that message represented. Months ago, I would have replied instantly. I would have run to her. I would have given in it. Weeks later, my company officially launched. We organized an event, small but powerful. Guests, partners, and media arrived. Lights, cameras, microphones, everything felt surreal. Ollie stood beside me and whispered. The room fell quiet as I walked on stage. I took a deep breath and began speaking, not about success, but about resilience, about pain, about rebuilding, about hope. I said. When I finished, the room erupted in applause. People stood. Some had tears in their eyes. Some hugged me and thanked me for giving them hope. That night, something inside me healed permanently. But destiny wasn't done testing me yet. As I walked outside after the event, taking a deep breath of the cool night air, I saw someone standing near the exit. It was her. She looked different, exhausted, nervous, smaller somehow. Her eyes were filled with emotions I couldn't read. She took a step toward me and spoke softly. I nodded politely. Thank you. She took another step, her voice trembling. I watched her carefully. Her hands were shaking. Her eyes filled with tears. Months ago, those tears would have broken me. But now they meant nothing. I never wanted to hurt you, she whispered. I made a mistake. I didn't know what I was losing. I took a deep breath and answered calmly. She looked down, silent. Then her voice cracked. For a moment, I felt everything slow down, the wind, the noise, the lights. So many memories flashed through my mind. All the nights I cried. All the times I wanted to die. All the pain that nearly destroyed me. And then the transformation, the rebuilding, the growth, the comeback. I looked into her eyes and said quietly. Her eyes widened in shock. I continued. Tears fell down her cheeks. But I didn't feel satisfaction. I felt peace. I wasn't rejecting her out of anger. I was choosing myself, and that choice changed everything. I stepped back, looked at the sky, and whispered. Then I walked away without looking back. That silence was the loudest victory of my life. Weeks passed, and life kept getting better. More calls, more opportunities, more growth. My business expanded. People began inviting me to speak at events. My story inspired thousands. One afternoon at a professional gathering, I met someone new, a woman with calm eyes and a gentle voice. She didn't compare. She didn't pretend. She didn't force anything. Her presence felt peaceful, safe, genuine. She smiled and said, and I laughed softly. We talked for hours, not about pain, but about dreams, purpose, and faith. For the first time in a long time, I felt something real, something warm, something honest. Not love, not yet, but the possibility of it. And that was enough. That night, lying in bed, I whispered to myself. I closed my eyes with a calm smile, knowing that the worst was behind me. I survived. I rebuilt. I rose. And now, I was ready to live again. I used to believe that healing meant forgetting. For months, I tried erasing memories, forcing myself not to feel anything. But real healing isn't about forgetting. It's about remembering without pain. It's about looking back at the fire that almost killed you and realizing it forged you instead. And that realization came to me one quiet morning. The sky was painted gold, and sunlight was gently seeping through my window. I sat at the edge of my bed, hands clasped, heart steady. It was the first time in years that I felt truly peaceful, quiet, grounded, whole. I whispered to myself. A few weeks later, I was invited to speak at a major international conference. Thousands of people, global leaders, entrepreneurs, scientists, and dreamers from all over the world. The theme was a topic I knew too well. I stood backstage, listening to the applause for the speaker before me. I closed my eyes, took a deep breath, and felt every moment of my journey. Every night I cried, every betrayal, every fall, every rise, burning inside me like fuel. They called my name. Spotlights hit my face. The audience fell silent. I stepped to the podium and began with 7 words that changed everything. The room froze. People leaned forward. My voice didn't tremble, not once. I talked about betrayal and survival, about being broken and forged, about standing up when your bones feel like ashes, about how sometimes God destroys what is killing you before you even realize it's poison. As I spoke, I saw faces softening, eyes widening, people nodding, tears forming. Then I said something that came straight from the deepest part of my soul. A woman in the front row covered her mouth, sobbing. I continued. When I finished, the applause was thunderous, louder than anything I had ever heard. People stood. Some cried. Some hugged each other. But I wasn't proud because they clapped. I was proud because I had turned my scars into prayers and my pain into purpose. Months later, on a quiet, rainy evening, I wreck. Full of apologies, regret, explanations, and wishes. She talked about sleepless nights, destroyed trust, and how losing me changed her. She said she finally understood what she had destroyed. She said she still believed we were meant to be. She said she would wait, no matter how long. For a moment, I sat still, listening to the rain tapping softly on my window. But I wasn't angry. I wasn't shaking. I wasn't broken. I simply typed a single sentence. And I pressed send. Then I placed my phone down gently, not with trembling hands, but with peace. In that second, every chain snapped, every wound sealed, every ghost disappeared. Closure doesn't come when someone apologizes. It comes when you realize you no longer need it. Life has a strange way of replacing what you lost with something better. If you're patient, if you don't settle, if you choose self-respect over loneliness. One serene afternoon, at a networking event, I crossed paths with her. Someone new, someone different. She didn't speak loudly. She didn't pretend. She didn't perform. She just smiled, gently and sincerely. We talked, slowly, naturally, like two calm rivers merging. No ruse, no pretending, no fear. She asked about my work, my dreams, my vision. Not once did she ask about the past. Not because she didn't care, but because she respected the space where I had rebuilt myself. Before she left, she said, that single sentence felt like sunlight after a lifetime of storms. We stayed in touch, not intensely, not obsessively, but steadily. Our conversations felt peaceful. Our silence felt safe. For the first time, love didn't feel like drowning. It felt like breathing. And maybe, just maybe, that was the whole point of everything. To learn what love is not, before learning what it truly is. Months later, as I sat on a hill overlooking the city lights, I finally understood why everything happened. People aren't taken from us because we're not enough. They leave because their part in our story is finished. Betrayal isn't the end. It's a beginning disguised as destruction. Life doesn't break you to kill you. Life breaks you to rebuild you stronger than you ever imagined. I whispered into the wind. And for the first time, it all made sense. If you're listening to this, if your heart is heavy, if your world is shaking, if you think you'll never survive what you're going through, listen to me carefully. You will rise. You will rebuild. You will become unrecognizable, even to yourself. One day, the people who hurt you will watch you win, and they'll wonder how you did it without them. And you will smile because you finally understand. I'm living proof. Today, I'm not the man who begged. I'm not the man who cried on the cold floor. I'm not the man who shattered. I am a man who stood back up. I am the man who chose self-respect. I'm the man who rebuilt from ashes. And so are you. Your story isn't ending. It's just beginning. Raise your head. Wipe your tears. Straighten your spine. Because the day you choose yourself is the day you are truly born again.